Hello, I'm Typo T-Rex.
And I'm Typo Zanefried.
And we have another deck profile. This time we have Single Strike Rapid Urshifu coming at you.
Correct.
So I'm going to say it now before I forget, and it's probably going to lose me some views because people are just going to go to the description to check it out instead. But the deck list should be in the description of this video. If it's not, just comment and let me know and I'll fix it eventually. Anyway. But let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, so we're going to go over the single Pokemon first. So there is one Crobat V, one Dedenne.
There's definitely something, because that Crobat is just super washed out right now.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it's Crobat V, Dedenne V, or V-GX.
Be busted.
And then there's, so you run these because, you just need more draws. Unfortunately, there's not enough room to run two, but, having draws is just busted.
Yeah.
And not having to use a supporter on your turn to do that is really good.
Again, that's wild that there's only one Dedenne. I never thought I would see a deck like that outside of, like, an anti-meta deck.
Yeah. All right, so the next single is Jirachi-GX. That card is going to rotate, but it is quintessential for this deck at the moment, especially because Calyrex just came out.
Yeah.
There's so many Psychic decks running around. Even things like Mad Party, their main swinger is Psychic. So having Jirachi-GX really helps this deck out a lot. Because there's just so many Psychic decks running around.
Yeah.
So Jirachi really, really good in this deck. So next we're going to move on to some basic Pokemon. So we run 1, 2, 3.
I guess I'm just too far back that I lean too far and my face just is covered in shadow, so I turn my light up and it's not helping.
Yeah. So we have 4 Houndour because we would like to run 3 Houndoom. This is my pride and joy. I pulled this from a pack. I love that thing. But yeah, so you run 3 Houndoom because it is literally the only energy ramp that Single Strike gets.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, just on a general level, if we were to like put this deck in a tier list, I would probably put it at like a C. It's really not that great right now.
No, not right now.
I think it will get better after rotation because it is getting more and more support, and things like Path to the Peak will help it out a lot.
Yeah.
But this Houndoom says that you can attach a Single Strike energy from your deck to one of your Single Strike Pokemon, and if you do so, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon.
It kills me that it can only search the card Single Strike energy
and not Impact energy.
Yeah, which is a Single Strike energy.
Yeah.
And even in the guidebooks that come with the ETBs, it says it can do that. So they printed it, and then they put out like a compendium saying, hey, no, we messed up. You can't actually do that. Which, if you could do that, that would make Single Strike so much better than it already is.
Yeah. But, so sometimes, or I wouldn't even say sometimes, like quite often, those damage counters will actually act to your detriment.
Yeah.
Because things are doing so much damage in Pokemon right now that like those damage counters are really important.
Yeah.
And because I think Urshifu VMAX, it has 330 HP, which is it's above average.
Yeah.
But it's still, like because you can put up to 4 Single Strike energy on a Pokemon, and then it's just. You're applying 20 damage per Single Strike energy. It is really detrimental sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's the only, energy acceleration you get. So you have to run Houndoom. And Houndoom is so incredibly important to this deck.
Yeah.
Anytime that you are playing this deck, you have to have at least 1 Houndour on your bench turn 1, or you will lose the game.
Yeah.
Because you just aren't accelerating fast enough. You would preferably like to have 2 Houndoom on your bench, but at least having that 1 Houndour is so incredibly important.
Now, there's another version which I've seen played. I only ran into it like once or twice online, but it uses the crazy code Porygon Z to ramp energies inside. Now, if I built Single Strike, that would be the way I would go, but that way's probably much more inconsistent because then you have to rely on rare candies and stuff
exactly.
like that.
But yeah, so like having Houndoom is just so incredibly important. I cannot stress enough how important Houndoom is to this deck. Like if you had to make a decision between having a Houndour and an Urshifu V on your bench, you need a Houndour on your bench. Like it's that important because we will lose tempo so fast if you don't have that on your bench turn 1. Alright, so next we will hit the Tyranitar V. So I run 2 of these, mainly because of Calyrex. And I think that's one of the main reasons that Single Strike is going to be maybe better than Rapid Strike after post-rotation. Because Rapid Strike doesn't have anything that can, really go against Calyrex and, give Calyrex some issues.
Yeah.
Whereas Tyranitar in Single Strike is really good against it. It hits like a truck. It hits for 240. And because Single Strike energy also counts as Dark energy, you don't even have to change anything about the deck in order to make Tyranitar work. Again, the only thing that's not great is its HP. It's 230, which again is really high for a V Pokemon, but when you start, using Houndoom to put Single Strike energy on him, that HP becomes just paper.
Now, I don't know if it's going to happen, but when we start seeing Tyranitar VMAXs,
yes,
Tyranitar is my favorite Pokemon. I will figure out a way to make a Tyranitar VMAX deck work.
I would absolutely put Tyranitar VMAX in this deck, specifically for Calyrex, because Calyrex is going to be a major problem.
Also, we're starting to get enough cards between like Rapid Strike and Single Strike that the Urshifu VMAXs aren't the only versions of the deck they're running around.
Yes.
Because earlier I was playing against like a Blaziken Zero Aura version of the deck.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting. I think I was playing ADP, and I still ended up losing because I couldn't get to my stuff fast enough.
Yeah. I know another thing as well that was revealed from Roaring Skies, Duraludon.
Yeah.
Duraludon is going to be so incredibly good. Because its ability says that it doesn't take damage from any Pokemon that has a special energy attached to it. So things like Rapid Strike energy, Single Strike energy, Hiding energy, and Eternatus, and things like that. It's just going to be so incredibly valuable. And it's a Single Strike Pokemon. So it's going to be really good. But I think eventually Single Strike will revolve around Duraludon. But for now, we will simply run Saitama. So we have 4 Urshifu Vs.
Now we have 4.
Yeah, now we have 4. Weirdly enough, I seriously thought I had 4 in this deck, but apparently I don't. And you have 2 Urshifu. This is also one of my pride and joys. This is actually an alternate art Urshifu Single Strike VMAX, which is really cool. I pulled that from the same pack opening I did when I got that Houndoom. Super lucky.
Yeah, the world was just calling to you to play Single Strike.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's exactly why I built it. And then I played it online, and I kept playing it, and I kept playing it, and I was like, man, this deck sucks. At the moment, it is just not the best. Which is one of the main reasons that we did that I built Victini. Because I just want to fill that void until rotation. But I think when rotation happens, this deck will get better.
It'll get better, and again, as more cards start coming out, you're just going to start seeing so many more options. And I think as a concept, Single Strike is just superior to any of the Rapid Strike stuff. Because if you could sit down and be like, I'm going to one-shot everything you put out, doesn't that sound like a phenomenal deck?
Yeah, pretty much. Much. So here we have Tower of Darkness, which I'm actually considering changing for Path to the Peak.
Yeah.
Because Path to the Peak is going to be really good for countering things like Calyrex. And it's also just really good against Eternatus.
Yeah, and you're already only playing one copy of Dedenne and one copy of Crobat.
Yeah, and those are the only things. Yeah, those are literally the only things I have that have an ability in this deck. But make no mistake, Tower of Darkness in Single Strike is still really good. You discard a Single Strike, any Single Strike card, and you just draw 2.
Yeah.
Having draws again is super important.
Yeah.
So Tower of Darkness has very clear strengths. I just think Path to the Peak is going to end up being better. So next we'll talk about trainers. So like I said, this deck kind of has some problems accelerating sometimes. It can be a little bit slow. So you run 1 Reset Stamp, which helps slow the game down a bit, especially if you're losing.
Yeah.
So Reset Stamp is really good. You only run 1 because it's not super, super important, but it can be really useful.
I've definitely lost games to a copy of Reset Stamp late game.
You run 2 Air Balloon because, most decks at this point run 2 Air Balloon because, you can retreat things like Houndoom and Dedenne and Crobat and stuff without having to expend energy to do so. So the next thing is really important is Scroll of Scorn. Scroll of Scorn is going to be extremely useful on Urshifu VMAX, which I didn't actually even really talk about what Urshifu VMAX does. Urshifu VMAX's G-Max move discards all energy from him, which is really just so not good.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, actually. Like, I feel like the only time you should ever really do that is if you're guaranteed to get a knockout that's going to put you way ahead of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So like you run Scroll of Scorn because it only costs 1 fighting energy, and it because you're applying damage counters to Urshifu VMAX in order to get single strike energies on him, you do more damage based on how many damage counters you have. So Scroll of Scorn is just really good. It's like an alternate attack that can still do a bunch of damage because he has 330 HP.
Yeah.
So really important card in this deck for when attacking. So next we have Urn of Vitality. You run 4 of these because it's super, super important. I traded for this. I did not pull this. It's still cool, though.
It is.
Yeah, so you run 4 of them because, again, whenever you use Urshifu's G-Max move, it discards all energy from him. So you run 4 because whenever you discard those single strike energies, you want to have them back in your deck.
Make Houndoom live again.
Yeah, like you need to have Houndoom be active and doing things and attaching energy and stuff. So you run 4 of these. Now, I have fallen into the trap of, early in the game, I really need some draws, so I hit Tower of Darkness and discard an Urn of Vitality. And if the game goes on long enough, that will absolutely destroy you.
Yeah, it'll bite you.
So I would say if you're going to discard an Urn of Vitality, make sure you end the game quickly because you need these cards. It is really good. Really cool gold card.
Yeah. Again, the artwork on these cards is really good, and then I like when they theme a lot of the like the staples for the deck that are gold.
Yeah.
Like the Houndoom and then that. Yeah.
All right. So now we have some just general staple cards like Evolution Incense. You only run 2 Urshifu VMAXs, so you want to be able to get to them as quick as possible. And Evolution Incense is just more consistent.
Yeah, the better way of doing that.
Yeah. The deck originally had Great Ball in it. I didn't like Great Ball at all. So I just replaced it with Evolution Incense.
Yeah. Also Houndooms.
Yeah, also Houndooms, yeah. And, because, again, having Houndoom up as soon as possible is so important. Then you run 4 Quick Ball.
Yeah. As you do.
Because this is Pokemon.
Yeah.
You really want to get to those Houndours, really want to get to, Crobat, Dedenne, Urshifu V. It's just, it's such an important part of the game. You have to run 4 Quick Ball in every deck. So next we have 3 Pokemon Communication, which again is just an, trying to get, to Houndoom and Urshifu VMAX more consistently is really good. Then you run 2 Switch, mainly because, sometimes if you have Urshifu VMAX out and you're not really willing to give up those prize cards, you can, use Switch to get out to something else. And it's really good. So we'll talk about supporters next.
I imagine there's not a lot of variety here. Again, there's only going to be like 3.
Yeah, so there's 3 Marnie, which, again, I hate this card. I have an actual real burning hatred for Marnie. It drives me crazy. But nonetheless, it is extremely good. It's a really good hand disruption against your opponent, and not only that, but you're also drawing 5 cards. So it's really good. Then in this deck, we run 4 Professors because, again, this deck can be a little slow and you need to be able to get to things quickly. So you run a bunch of those so you can try and get to the draws that you need. This deck runs 3 Boss.
Now, see, it's actually funny that there's 3 Boss. Some of the list I saw only played 2 because your Urshifu VMAX does not care what you put out.
I'm going to kill it anyway. Exactly.
So,
I will say it can be somewhat important if they have like a regular V Pokemon on their active, but they have a VMAX on their bench. Because when Urshifu hits something, it needs to take as many prize cards as possible. Otherwise, you're sort of wasting the energy that you're discarding. So having Boss is really good.
Now, the only thing we have left is energies, and you actually have to show the energies.
Yes, I
this
do.
time.
Yeah, because this deck, fun fact, does not run any basic energy whatsoever. Which is going to be really bad when Duraludon comes out. So you run 3 Stone Energy because, again, you really want Urshifu to have as much survivability as possible, and because you're applying damage counters to him, you need to be able to negate that somehow. So you try and run Stone Energy. It doesn't really always work out that way because you don't have any way of searching for them, so you kind of just have to get lucky and draw them.
You could do like a Guzma and a Hala, but that's kind of...
You run 2 Capture Energy because having Houndour is so important to this deck that you run energy specifically for it. And that is how good Houndour is in this deck. So you run 2 Capture Energy pretty much purely so you can find Houndour. There's like never really a scenario where you're so desperate that you need an Urshifu V that you capture energy for one. It can help you like ramp the early game in a game if you want to get an Urshifu with it, but having Houndour is so much better. And then we run 4 Single Strike Energy. So what Single Strike Energy does is it counts as fighting and dark energy, and for every Single Strike Energy you have, you deal an extra 20 damage.
Which again is terrifying because I've had my ADP one-shotted while it had Big Charm on it, and I was like,
Yes.
oh, yeah, I lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, Single Strike Energy is really good. I haven't really read too much about Impact Energy. I don't really know what it does.
It's just a rainbow energy, so
It is?
it's when more of the single strike cards start coming out, and you're gonna have different types of energies. It's gonna be relevant because it's in every type of energy. But because Houndoom can't catch it, I don't think we're gonna see it anytime soon.
Yeah,
But
I would really like to see them give out like an official ruling for that. Like, is the compendium the official ruling?
Yeah.
Okay, well that sucks.
Yeah.
Because that would definitely make Duraludon a lot better.
We might see it change later on, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I think that's it for the deck list.
That is the entire deck. Yeah. So again, post rotation, I think this deck is going to get better. I don't think it's losing that much. It's losing Pokemon Communication, and is Capture Energy rotating?
Let me see Capture Energy. No, that's Rebel Clash, it looks like. Yep. So it'll be around.
Yeah, I don't think the deck is losing all that much. It's losing Dedenne, and it's losing Pokemon Communication.
Yeah.
It's also losing Jirachi-GX, so your matchup against Calyrex is going to get a lot worse after rotation. But so like, I would suggest running, like when you go against Calyrex, literally just play Tyranitar. Like, I wouldn't even bother playing Urshifu V because it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, you could play Urshifu VMAX because you're going to get the knockout either way. Like, just whether or not you're weak to it or not.
Yeah.
But being able to like be guaranteed knocked out without them having to discard that many energies is really bad. So I personally am going to just purely play Tyranitar because there's really just no point.
I mean, sometimes you don't have that choice. Anyway, I've been Typo T-Rex.
I'm Typo Zane Freed.
And you've been watching TypoHouseGames. If you like what you've been watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell. Also, check out the links in the description if you would like to support the channel in helping us buy product. My Cash App and PayPal are there. But that's it for the video. Bye, everyone.
Bye.